welcome to Beyond the Edge. I'm your host, Brandy Deutsch.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee DeMayo, your co-host, Light, Love, and Blessings.
And we have a really cool show for you today. You know, one of the things I say often is where there's a will, there's a way. And our next guest, or our guest today, has really taken that to new heights. And I wanna introduce our guest. He's absolutely incredible. He's been in our healing circles for quite some time. I mean, before I was even there, I kind of jumped in. But this is Mark Scherer. And Mark is the founder of Encompass Life. It's the company that provides quantum leap technique. And he created and taught that. And he created that and he teaches that, him and his team at Encompass Life. And for over 30 years, Mark has studied consciousness, language, spiritual law, and quantum physics. And his ultimate passion is sharing his incredible techniques with those who choose to upgrade their lives in ways they have yet to imagine. So welcome, Mark. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show as well. And Dee Dee, nice to meet you also.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Blessings to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm excited to talk to you because you and I, we have so much in common in terms of how much we love quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and quantum healing. I love that stuff. It's just something that I've always had a passion for. And I want to understand what got you into this kind of work. What made you start thinking about consciousness, and where did that come from?
Yep. I mean, it's something I was interested in ever since I was a kid. I just didn't know that's what it was. But I went to a Catholic school, and I had interest in like what was miracles and the stories and scriptures, and going, okay, so why aren't people doing that now? Like how come that was back then, and what's going on now? And the way I was exposed to religion, it was way different than my interpretation of it would be. Like, why, like, we should be doing the miracles and stuff, like,
right,
what's
exactly.
up with that? Because I mean, that sounds really juicy, and so that was something I was interested in, and I kind of took a little had a little rebellious nature for a number of years, decades, I guess. Kind of went over to um I had some trauma in childhood, so I drank and partied and stuff to kind of get away from the pain, self-medicated. I did that for a while, and but I had numerous businesses, and I was taking classes to become a better manager and business owner. But it was something. I mean, I was more interested in the classes than I was in my business. Like, oh my gosh, I'm really enjoying all these things, and I did a lot of mainstream stuff, but I also did a lot of fringy classes over the last 30 something years. And guess what else? Back in maybe 15 years ago, I found the bones of this other system, the system I'm using now. And by that time, I was age 50, and I had some health issues that were pretty persistent. I had allergies for a long time. I wore glasses for 37 years. When I was a kid, I had a speech impediment, and if I said a word incorrectly, I would get popped or disciplined for it. So my speech impediment turned into a stuttering issue. So I stuttered for 30, well, really longer than that. I stuttered up to the age of 50. And with this system, I went from a stutterer to clear speech in under 5 minutes.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
That's amazing.
A little on the intense side, but I mean, it was really amazing. And so once I started to see how quickly things could happen, I had done a lot of other modalities, and they were really laborious and a lot of work. And so I was on a search to find something that was really easy, because I believe we can move at the speed of God, and God is really fast.
Yes.
Yep. So I had that intention. I had that intention and found the system, and then upgraded it. So
wonderful. I love that. I love that because We talk about miracles all the time. And in the Bible, whenever they talked about miracles, it's like, yeah, why is that not possible right now? But then you stumble upon something for me and Didi, it was like data healing. You stumble upon something and you just go, well, that's the miracles I've been looking for. Like they're right here, and they were right here all the time.
All the time.
But nobody taught you that, right?
Yep. And Einstein said there's two ways to live life. Nothing's a miracle or everything's a miracle. And he says, I prefer to live life the second way.
Right.
And when I was in my shit, for all those years, all the, blaming life, life was happening to me. But then when I woke up, like I realized that everything that happened to me, so per se, was actually happened for me. So the things I went through as a child actually increased my sensitivity. And so now I can help people from a wide variety of experiences because I've been through my own personal hell, So it's it really has helped me to be able to help people.
What a great
So
tagline. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. I love it.
That's a good tagline.
I love
Actually,
it.
it's very good. And I love the point where you mentioned, that things were laborious, they were hard, they were difficult, and that's kind of where I got. I was like, where are the miracles? I see them. How do we have them occur? What's in the way? And then and I learned that it's not a sacrifice. It's not a struggle. It's easy.
Mhm.
And they started happening more often and more frequently. And as things progress, you learn, okay, why am I putting that in my way? And I move it.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
Mark,
absolutely.
can you tell us more about quantum leap technique? Because it
Yep,
sounds fascinating.
yep. So you've heard of the law. Most people have heard of the law of attraction,
Yes.
and I watched The Secret and listened to that and played with that for a long time, and and had some success with it, but it was again like it would be off and on for me. And so what I instead of calling it the law of attraction, what I believe we have is everyone's born with this beautiful gift called co-creation. And everyone has this gift, and everyone, as far as I can tell so far after coaching thousands of people, so far everyone has the gift wired correctly. I've yet to find anybody with the gift wired backwards. You know, every, so and the gift is whatever you put into this gift, you get out of it. So if I'm getting something that produces anger and resentment or frustration in my life, it's to let me know I have anger, resentment, or frustration inside me. And so if I can take that accountability for it and reverse engineer it, I can find where I put it into me. Maybe it was suppressed from childhood, but that pattern will continue to manifest until that person reverses that energy.
Yes.
So whether you're producing karma with the gift or a miracle with the gift, it's the same gift producing both.
Mm.
Karma is an unconscious manifestation, and a miracle is a conscious manifestation, but the same gift is producing both things.
Wow.
Wow.
So when I started to see it that way, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, and by the way, I majored in engineering. So what I started to do was taking all these classes, and I was taking classes, but I was going, huh, I can tell there's something I can improve here. Like I can take and refine this system and upgrade it. And so I would look at all the classes I was taking and go, okay, I can feel something here. What can I take it apart and put it back together a little bit better? So that's what I've been doing for the last, whatever, 15 years and to get building a system. But anyway, back to the quantum leap technique. One, you have to acknowledge that we have a gift called co-creation. Period. That's foundational piece. As people begin to become appreciative for the gift, what happens is they begin to change the relationship to life, capital L.
Mm.
And once we change our relationship to life, capital L, everything in our life changes at a quantum expansion all over instead of working on a goal.
Mhm.
Wow.
So it's really, really fast. People doing the system, their relationships improve, relationship with the kids improve, money improves, personal happiness improves, all that stuff at the same time. So that's the foundational piece for it. But then what we're also doing is most people get stuck in the terminology of how am I going to do it?
Mm.
Or I know I'm going to manifest something, but I don't have a clue what it is. Like, oh, what if I ask for something, I get it, I don't like it, and all that, that little head chatter stuff, right?
Mhm.
So what we do here is imagine now that if somebody doesn't know what they want, that's perfect. I love that. I'd rather have somebody not knowing than knowing. So now that you've manifested your highest choice, now that you've manifested your perfect outcome, imagine what you feel. And most people will go, yeah, but what is it? What is it? Like, shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Doesn't matter.
Just give yourself the feeling of having already manifested, even though you don't have a clue what it is yet.
Mm.
That's the best place to be, guys. Ladies, pardon me, ladies.
It's okay.
Fine.
And when somebody can give themselves a feeling of having already manifested it,
Mhm.
and their body will go, ah. They still haven't gotten a clue what it is yet. But once their body goes into a state of relaxation, their breathing changes, shoulders drop, the deeper breath, then they'll begin to, instead of like trying to figure it out, they'll remember it.
Mm.
That's interesting.
And what we're doing is we're changing the body chemistry and the brain chemistry, which automatically produces a whole new set of thoughts. So a lot of people have a tough time reprogramming their thoughts,
Mhm.
and it takes practice and practice and practice to reprogram your thoughts. And the way we're doing it here, rather than working on the thoughts, we work on body chemistry, change the feeling. The body chemistry changes, the brain chemistry changes, and the thoughts immediately change. And they get a movie download of what their life's going to be like instead of trying to figure it out. It's an instantaneous download.
Mhm. We're familiar with that.
Very familiar. I was going to say it's another approach. It just supports, what we already do, and it's another avenue for someone that may not understand theta or want to approach it that way. It gives them a way to understand the technical or 1, 2, 3 steps of how to manifest their miracle that they've had inside the whole time.
I was getting ready to say it. What he's explaining really, Mark, what you're explaining really sounds like the science of manifestation.
Yes.
Thank you. And what I noticed, it was happening to with me, like I was one of the first times it happened really vividly. I was at a class and I said something, and when I said it, as soon as I said it, I had this movie come in, and the movie was so intense, I just started crying. And I mean, not just like little bitty tears, but I mean, crying so much I couldn't talk for like 3 minutes. Like, ooh, 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 people were going, "You okay, Mark?" You're right. Ooh, what's going on? Ooh. you know, and I was embarrassed because I am leading a class with 30 or 40 people in it, and I can't even talk. And everybody's like, I got it, I got it. And I was able to. It's like, here's 40 hours worth of Netflix that got downloaded in 10 seconds,
Wow.
Wow.
and I could like pick out a stream. Like pick out a stream and go, okay, this is what this looks like, and then pick out another stream over here. This is what this looks like, and this is what this looks like, and it was fascinating. And I go, okay, that was cool. And then people go, how did you do that? And I go, I don't know. I guess, I don't know how I did it. I just did it. And one of the things we work here with also is the word not.
Mm.
If somebody's speaking the word not, that's choosing unconsciousness.
Mm.
Mm.
I don't know. If somebody says, I don't know, I can't remember, be careful, because every word is a prayer coming in a manifestation. Have you ever heard of Alzheimer's and dementia?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be
Wow.
careful. Be careful.
I got to remove those things out of my vocabulary.
Be careful. And what you're
Wow.
also doing is you're programming your subconscious to see what's wrong with life, and also project that wrongness onto the fabric of life. So remember, I said we could work over a period of time and have somebody go from speaking what isn't to speaking what is. That could be a change. That could be a behavioral change. It could take months to develop a new habit.
Hmm.
Or what I've found out, one, is if somebody speaking the word not, it directly correlates to how much anxiety that person has in their life.
Mm.
Direct relationship. The word not to the anxiety, to a level of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out is where that perspective of not came from is that person has some type of a trauma early on in life. And when they experience that trauma, they surrounded that trauma with a whole bunch of knots. Life shouldn't be this way. God shouldn't be this way. My parents shouldn't be this way. I'm not good enough. And they surrounded that trauma with a protective layer of knots
Mm.
to avoid responsibility.
Bless you.
And sneezing, by the way, and we also do body language, and sneezing is confirmation.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
No,
Sneezing is confirmation. It's really interesting.
I
So,
received that.
yep.
I'm okay with
Right.
that.
So,
Mhm.
so when I can have that person relive that trauma,
Mhm.
and they can forgive that. There's a forgiveness, well, a way we have them forgive it, which that gets the person back to a state of neutrality.
Mhm.
But what we do is go one step further, and there's a step that they can do where they actually thank that person for that experience, because what it helps them remember something inside themselves, like maybe it helps them maybe remember how powerful their love really is, or how
Yes.
big their forgiveness really is, or how big their courage really is, or something. And once they experience it, then they're like, oh my God, they thank that person for that deal, because no one can teach somebody about love. You have to experience the
Mm,
power of love.
Wow. Mhm.
And then
absolutely.
Wow.
once they do that, their endocrine system lights up like a Christmas tree. Pineal,
Mm,
pituitary, thymus, thyroid, all of those things.
wow.
And
Wow.
that's creating the quantum
So,
leap technique. And then all of a sudden their life just bingo.
so with all this sneezing, I have to ask: have you been a fly on my wall for the last 12 years of my life or something? Because I swear to God, you were telling my story. I'm like, good God, and it's just firing off. And the part where you can thank someone for showing up and removing the trauma around it and stuff. Everything. I was like, oh my, and I couldn't hardly stop sneezing. I was like, wow, and it just replayed it and renewed what I knew as you were talking. It's so
Wow.
yeah.
I love it.
It's
I
very
love it.
strange. I mean, how come it
Yeah.
happens to me on every show? I must just be really open. I don't know.
Well, it's like you're like the channel portion of all of this.
Wow.
I set the structure and you just channel everything through. And I
Wow.
love it when
Woo.
guests appear. It's like explosions always. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. And so Mark, body language and consciousness around language and how we move our body is just fascinates me. Isn't there like a kind of a whole system around that? What can you say around that?
Yep. So we work with body language, but whenever somebody, if I'm coaching somebody, whenever they touch something new in consciousness, a new state of being, what they'll do is maybe they'll scratch their arm, or they'll scratch their head, or they'll do something. They'll make some movement, and when they make that movement, that what that movement is telling me what they need to say or what they need to do in order to bring
Mm,
that new state of being in for them. Two things
mm,
can't occupy the same place at the same time. So if somebody's making a new decree and going to the next level of joy and love and enthusiasm, and they reach up and scratch their left arm, then I know the left arm is about female. So there's something they have to handle with the female that's keeping them stuck.
mm. I love it.
And so the body will give instantaneous feedback on it. It also, um, let's see how to say this. We can keep it clean. Um,
Go ahead. We're
go
good.
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
can I can
So
always bleep it out later. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
thank you, thank you.
Go
So the
ahead.
word, like the word, like a state of non-ease. Wink, wink. Okay. So whatever the state of non-ease is, it has certain symptoms or signals that are the signals that are out there. So I can translate the signals and relate it back into consciousness, and the person can change their thoughts, words, and feelings, and the signals instantly disappear.
Oh,
Can
wow.
instantly disappear. So I've
Amazing.
worked with people with thyroid issues, and sometimes in 1 to 5 sessions, they're off all their meds.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Incredible.
Hypo, yeah, hypothyroid is where somebody had maybe like an authoritarian parent,
Mm.
and they shut down and they went into resignation, gave up their will. And so they're sitting there. It's more like a state of covert anger
Mhm.
and resignation to it, and that's hypothyroid. Hyper is where somebody is like, "Rrr," I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of me like that again, you know, and they're running that not pattern.
Mhm.
All
Oh,
the,
wow.
you know, yeah, it's wild. Like the pancreas issues. That's about somebody has a bitterness towards life. They can't see the sweetness of life.
Mm.
So, you've done, I'm sure y'all have done decrees or affirmations or whatever. And, I am wealthy, I am whatever, all those things. Well, what we're doing is we're finding out what your particular pattern is and having you reverse your pattern word for word that you said when that trauma occurred. Because when a trauma occurred and you spoke a bunch of things, maybe with feeling, like a bunch of knots with feelings, we're going to find those things and reverse them. So it's going to be a custom tuned affirmation or decree just for you to shift yourself.
Oh, wow.
That is
And
awesome.
it gets very emotional very, very quick. What we're having people do most likely is these people are saying these words with feeling for the first time in their entire lineage.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it opens up a whole doorway of consciousness for them.
Mhm.
When we're making the same decrees, even though there may be inside of us, inside our DNA, and passed down, the furrows, the neurons fire in the same place again and again and again and again. So
Mhm.
we're doing is once people do this, man, the neurons in the brain start to fire across the field. So that person goes back in the field of possibilities rather than trying to do something to improve from their past. They begin to do something from the field. No
Yeah.
preconceived notions.
Something new.
Yeah.
Something brand new. And their
That's,
body chemistry is new, their brain chemistry is new, their DNA is new, so they're a new person.
Yep.
yeah. I don't know that I understand the complete process, what you're saying, or how you do it on your end, but I know that I apply that to, like the foster kids I have. Yeah, every time they change places, they're in a new environment. They have to start over, telling their old story, telling their, all that. Ugh. And I'm just like, you know what? That is not who you are. And so we literally take from this moment and go forward, and we try to address, don't live in that moment, don't live in that trauma, don't stop talking about that, stop giving it
Yeah,
power, talk
yeah.
about the good things that have happened. And so it's definitely reprogramming.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And if
living
somebody
that
has
story.
a traumatic story, sometimes they can be very, people can be very attached to their story,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it validates them, and I
Yep.
find that to be so with a couple of the kids I've had just recently. Is they didn't know, they don't even have a clue who they are, because if you take that story away, they
Yep.
don't have anything to talk about. I'm like, okay, so you have to, it's really like a blank slate, how you were saying earlier. They have no concept of the potential.
Yep.
Let's start painting that new potential. So yeah,
Yeah. So
really.
we do things, we bring enthusiasm in as quickly as possible and
Hmm.
humor in as quickly as
Oh
possible.
yeah.
Um, to do a pattern change, it normally takes 300 to 400 repetitions, unless you do it with humor and you can do it in 10 to 20.
Yeah.
But since I'm hilarious, okay, I can do it in three. I can do it in 3 or 4, and we ride that. We ride. I'm gonna turn red here. We ride that. We ride that edge between pressure and humor, like ride that wave.
Yeah.
Pressure, humor, pressure, humor, pressure, humor, and people just
Mhm.
go. Then people just pop really, really, really quickly.
I love it. That's fantastic. Well, Mark,
Yeah.
if are you do you have any like upcoming workshops and things that you're doing that people might be able to attend
Yes, I do.
to know
There's
more? Mhm.
Yeah, we have. There's an online class that we run very frequently. It's led by some of our other coaches. The class is called
Okay.
The Basics of Conscious Living, and that's an online class, and it is 2 2-hour calls per week, and it also includes an individual coaching call as well. And we just started that on Monday. I believe we're going to start another one. I believe we're going to take off for the holidays and have another one start in January. And then I'm doing classes in Houston. I have a class coming up called how to wow,
Wow.
and how to wow, from how
Oh,
to wow, basically.
okay.
You know, like so if somebody's in the monkey mindset of like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? All that stuff. It's a really, really, really quick, replicable way of moving from the to really fast.
Okay.
And one of the things that we work on in the class is what limits the person the most is what they hate the most about themselves and what they defend the most about themselves.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
That's it. That's a
I have
good
to make
one.
a list.
Yeah. So sometimes
That's a
I,
good one.
I ask little trick questions and I'll go, so how do you defend? And people will either answer and consciously and start going through their defense mechanisms, or their defense mechanism will answer the question and they'll display it. So within 2 seconds, I have them, no matter what comes out of their mouth. I mean,
Mhm,
it's instant time. I mean, I'm hooked in. Don't
mhm,
tell everybody. It's a
mhm,
secret.
mhm. Yeah. And that's all we have to do is listen, right? Like all we have
Yep.
to do is pay attention to
Yep.
ourselves or somebody else to know what's really happening.
Yep. And back to real quick on the knots. So if you're going to use the word not, use it as a comparison. Like, don't tell anybody it's a secret. That's a comparison. I don't like chocolate. I do like vanilla. Make sure you leave what you choose to have come into existence
I love it.
out. Yeah.
Thank you for
So
that. That's
you're
that's
That's
welcome.
a good tip.
that was worth the price of admission, Mark.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. And then so your website is encompasslife.com. We've got that.
Yes, ma'am.
And then if somebody wants to reach out to you, they have questions, can they reach you via email?
Yes, that's fine. Mark at encompasslife.com. And if you could put the Brandy show in it, that way I know where they came from.
Excellent.
I'd appreciate that. And
Beyond the edge.
so I can tell, so I can tell, yeah, so I can tell Brandy and thank you for having on the show.
Excellent. Fantastic. Great, great, great. So, Mark, you just given us so much insight. I'm like still processing some of the things that we just talked about today, and I
Yep.
know some of our audience is doing the same. But it's just that much of what you guys do. Like I know, I've
Yep.
been to some of your workshops. They're fantastic. It's incredible.
And one more, we're doing also, we're also doing body electronics
Oh,
in February in Houston. That's a 4.5 day class, and it's really a 9 week process to get ready for this class because it's really, really, really deep work. It's like 100 coaching sessions all at once.
Oh, wow.
So,
it's
so we have
intense.
that coming up in February in Houston also,
And
and
they can find out.
I'll be in Boca in December, Boca Raton in December also.
Okay. They can find all the workshops on your website, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
And
Perfect.
I have a school. I train people to become coaches.
Oh.
That's awesome. That's a whole nother show, isn't it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're really bringing this system out very, very quickly.
I love it. So we're gonna have you back on, Mark, so that you can talk more about that because there's just so much that you guys are doing, and in the way that you're doing is just fascinating. I really want to share that with other people. And so we have something here that we do for others. If people that you know in the audience, those of you listening, Mark, if you know someone who needs some prayers or some light sent their way, please send their name to us. Our light intercession list is just a list of names that we have that we just send lots of healing and love and light and unconditional love, whatever they need, kind of just sends their way. Because, people can take it or not, they can receive it or not. It's totally their choice. But if it's sent, at least we know, hey, we've done something, we've created something, some intention to help them. And so that name can be text to us at 805-500-3343, or you could message us at Beyond the Edge TV so that we can add their name to our list. Intentions are very important, right?
Yes.
Beyond the edge, I love it.
Yeah. So Mark, thank you so much for being on our show today. I think you've just given us so much to process and think about just by telling us some of the things that you told us today with the quantum leap technique. I love the name, and I hope people can reach out to you guys. Give Mark a call. You guys go to his website and just check it out. Thanks so much, Mark, and thanks you guys for
Yeah,
watching.
Dee Dee, Brandy, great to meet you. Have blessings.
Bye. Nice to meet
Pleasure.
you. Thank you, everybody. Join us next week.